Alright, let us continue with other tools in this particular chapter. And this is the second video for chapter number 6, for chapter 6. So the second tools that, which is quite famous as well within the context of strategic management is the space matrix, in which in this space matrix, there are 4 different quadrants, and then with respective strategies that are suggested in order for the company to pursue, based into which grid that their final answers might fall into. So in this particular the space matrix, yes, the 4 quadrants are the aggressive, conservative, defensive, or competitive strategies are most appropriate for a given organization. So as you can see that there are 4 different quadrants. There are 4 axes. There are 2 axes with 4 different elements. The FP, financial performance, and then we have financial position, whether the company has a good or strong financial position. And then we talk about the SP. This is stability position, and then the IP, the industry position, and then the CP is the competitive position, how competitive they are, and then how stable is the industry, and then in terms of how stable is the position of the company within that particular industry. So these are the dimensions, the 4 dimensions. And these are the most important determinants or dimension of an organizational overall strategic position. So under this space matrix, usually they will be given in terms of this strategic option. So these are some of the elements under financial position, stability position, competitive position, and industry position that the organization can choose from in order to evaluate the company's competitive position. The steps, we will go into the step first quickly. And on the first one, you need to select the variables. So what to select, meaning that from here, you don't have to choose them all. For example, maybe you want to use the 3 from financial position, 4 from the stability position, 3 from the competitive position, and 3 from the industry position. So you need to select the variable first. And then the second one, you need to assign a numerical value ranging from 1 to 7 for FP and IP, and then -1 to -7 for SP and CP. For example, like this one. For FP and IP, we are going to rate them in a positive manner, and because these are all positive value. So 1 as being worst, and then 7 as being the most in terms of response or actions of that particular organization based from that particular element or variable that you choose. And then for CP and SP, -7 as the worst, and then -1 as the -7 as the -1 as the best, and then -7 as the worst to each of the variables that make up the SP and CP dimensions. And then the third one, you need to compute and then plot and then add the 2 scores, and then to identify the intersection. Let's go with an example. And then you draw the directional vector. So for example, this is from your textbook example. For example, this is for a bank, space matrix for a bank, and then they have identified the following 4 elements for the financial position, and then the IP position, the stability position, and then the CP position, and then they have ranked them accordingly. 1 to 7 for this one, the IP and FP, and then -1 to -7 for SP and CP. And then once you've got these numbers, 9, 10, -13, and 9, -9, the first one, you need to get the average lah. And so what you need to do, you need to get the average. SP average is -13 divided by 3. Why? Because there are 3 variables that have been selected. 1, 2, 3. So SP, they will get -4.33. And then for CP, -3. IP no 3.33, 10 divided by 3, and then FP average is 2.25. So what you will do is to get the directional vector coordinates for x-axis. For x-axis, we know that it is between CP as well as FP. No, CP and 3.33 IP. Yes, CP and IP. This one. CP and IP, we add them together, and then FP and SP. So once you get this coordinate, and CP plus IP, you get 0.33 positive. And then for the y-axis, and between FP as well as SP, and so when you add them together, you get negative 2.08. So when you draw into your vector, the vector would fall under this quadrant, 0.33 and negative 2.08. So what does this quadrant indicate? So these are the example of the strategic profiles. It indicates that yes, the company has should go for competitive profiles lah. And so for this particular tool, is it necessary for you to remember on how to calculate? Maybe yes, maybe no. We will never know in terms of what are the questions that is going to come out in your final assessment. But one of the questions that came out in final exam, very, very rare lah. And they were asking about this. They put a quadrant, a vector here. So at least you need to know all of this vector. This is the competitive quadrant. This is aggressive. This is conservative. And then this is defensive quadrant. And that is good enough. The next one, we talk about BCG Matrix. This one is quite common and quite famous. We talk about a BCG matrix. It is graphically portrays differences among divisions in terms of relative market share position and industry growth rate. So we can simply immediately identify that if we are talking about BCG or space matrix, we are talking about the organization as a whole. But now when we talk about BCG, usually it is about one particular company and its different divisions, meaning that if that particular company has many different products or have many different ventures, maybe they can use this BCG matrix in order to identify and portray the differences between their relative market share as well as industry growth rate. Because when different products, they might have a different market share, and then they might have the industry might be producing a different growth rate according to one another. So it allows a multi-divisional organization to manage its portfolio of businesses by examining the relative market share position and industry growth rate of each division relative to all divisions in the organization. So this is what you're going to get. We have the question mark, and then kita ada stars, and then we have cash cows, and then we have dogs. And then most importantly, also you need to understand for question mark. So these are some of the strategies that are suggested. Because of why? Because this product is kind of like new. So of course, the most important one is market penetration. And then maybe perhaps you want to go for market development in order to expand your market share. And then product development, you need to keep on improving the existing nature of the product. And then the second one is star. And so some of the strategies backward, forward, and horizontal integration, because you need to strengthen your position within the industry. And then same goes with market penetration, market development, and then product development. And then as a cash cows, meaning that once the product almost reaching its maturity, in which you don't have to do that much, and the product has already been recognized, it has already owned a substantial amount of market share, meaning that you don't have to really penetrate the market that much. That's why you don't see any market penetration here. So maybe during this stage, you keep on developing the product, like Apple. For example, they are always in this area. They are making a lot and billions of dollars in terms of revenues, because and they don't have to do that, focusing on too much on market penetration, but they keep on developing the nature of the product from one time to another time in order to maintain their market share and continue gaining as much revenue as possible. And finally, some of the products will go into the dog stage, in which the product does not making a lot more money. And then this is the time where you need to decide whether or not you want to retrench, whether or not you want to diverse, or whether or not you want to liquidate the whole product line. So this is an example of a BCG metric. So what does it mean in terms of the circle, the size of the circle? The size of the circles representing the sales volume. The bigger the size of the circle, meaning that that product line, that division is presenting or producing the highest sales volume in the company. What does the shaded the pie slice accounts for? It is accounted for the profits by the division. Some of the shades of the slice is much bigger, meaning that the profits generated by this division to the organization accounted almost 50%, accounted for 50% of the firm's profits. And then for this one and this one only represented 25% of the organizational profits. So sometimes they are going to be located in different division, different quadrant. So when you have different product line, because earlier in the chapters, previous chapter, we have already discussed and acknowledged that different product might require different strategy. So because of that, when you have many product lines, it is good when you use this BCG matrix in order for you to identify which potential strategy that is relevant for your product and services within your organization. So this is just an explanation on each of the quadrant and different strategy that I have already mentioned earlier on. The major benefits of the BCG matrix is that it withdraws attention to the cash flow, investment characteristics, and needs of organizations' various divisions. Whether or not we can simply identify which division that is not generating as much money as possible, or which generation product divisions that is in the cash cow strategy. So maybe your priorities of your capital would be different based on the quadrant of your division or your product line. And the next strategy that we are going to discuss is on the IE matrix. So the IE matrix should come from your SWOT, the external factor evaluation and internal factor evaluation. Sorry for the interruption. So in the IE matrix, since you have calculated your internal factor evaluation and external factor evaluation, so this is also another tool that you can use in your group project in order for you to identify into which quadrant that your company is going to fall into. So how are we going to use this? It's quite simple. You know the IFE that as well as EFE score for your company, and then you just need to plot. For example, kalau IFE dia within the range of 2 to 2.99, so it should fall under this quadrant. And then if the EFE should fall under 3 to 4.0, so it should fall under this quadrant. So the intersection of your IFE as well as EFE would fall under quadrant number 2. So if quadrant number 2, the potential strategy should go for grow and build. So when you have this, and how are we going to use this? When you have your SWOT, and then you do the IFE, EFE matrix, and then you apply that matrix into IE matrix. You apply that into IE matrix, and then you identify the potential strategy. Then you go back into your SWOT matrix study and identify which of the strategy that would fall under the grow and build or under hold and maintain. That would be a synchronize between your analysis. So your analysis under SWOT matrix, these are the potential strategy, and then kita ada 8 strategi kat dalam tu, and then we look into IE matrix, kita dah plot, dia jatuh under hold and maintain for example. So our language, kita punya suggestion, recommendation pun is under hold and maintain. They don't have to do that much, kan? They need to focus more on market penetration, developing the existing market, developing the existing product, improve the existing product, things like that. So this is how you are going to use the IE matrix into your group project. Okay, so we are going to continue with the next video. Peace. Assalamualaikum.